Namaste. So today I was going to answer questions again. I might do it in a couple of sections. My boyfriend said he might at some point sit as a prop for me and ask the questions rather than me reading them. I've got them all written out. So the first one is from someone called Mamoompa on YouTube. I don't think this is their name. I think this is their YouTube name, but I'm not sure how you say it. Okay, so he wanted me to comment on something that Osho wrote. So I'll read you the comment. Whenever you start planning, you divide yourself. You have become two. The one who is controlling and the one who is controlled. A conflict has arisen. Now you will never be at peace. You may succeed in controlling, but there will never be peace. You may not succeed in controlling, but there will never be peace. Well, one thing that I love about Osho is the way that he says one thing one time and then says exactly the opposite the next time. Like he constantly contradicts himself, but not just a little. He purposely says the absolute opposite. He holds to nothing, and he wasn't ashamed of teaching like this. A lot of teachers try to have some sort of linear teaching. But he would say one thing and then a couple of weeks later would blow it up again by saying something else. Because nothing anyone ever says is the truth. There is no intellectual truth to hold to. The baby didn't need to understand. The child doesn't need to understand this. A dog doesn't need to understand this. It is just this. It is. And in the apparent story, it often appears as a process of intellectual understanding. It's just the way the story dances. You read all these books, understand all these concepts. And what it appears to do is unpick all the concepts that were there till you're left with nothing. But that's the point, till you're left with nothing. Nothing. Osho, myself, many other teachers were selling nothing. And in this apparent story, these concepts unpick old concepts. But then these concepts are thrown out. And why I say in the apparent story is because what I'm also saying to you is you're left with nothing. So if you're left with nothing, There's no story. The story only exists in thought form. The story only exists in a thought that's arising now, in this. And when you lose the ideas that you're your thoughts or your body, then you also lose the attachment or the belief in the story, in past and future, because past and future arise in a thought. So if you no longer believe you're a thought, then you no longer believe you're your story or the result of a story. Because cause and effect also happen in a thought, because you remember how it was, and then a cause coming along and changing it, and then the outcome of that change, which has to exist in thought, in memory, because where is anything that happened yesterday? It's all in here. And if there's no sense that you're your thoughts or your body or memories or ideas, then you can only ever say a parent story. Can you hear the rain? It's really coming down now. It might sound like crackling. A summer storm. I love summer storms. See if you can see outside. Can you see it? I don't think so. There was massive thunder earlier. So, if there's some rumbling in the background, it's not my tummy. Or the doggies. I have got some new doggies. I'm looking after a friend's house, and I've got some amazing doggies. Bonnie! Bonnie! You wait till you see this dog. Bonnie! She's a bunny girl. She's a bunny girl. Come on, Bonnie. Bonnie. What a good girl. Oh, look, Ruggles has come too. Here we go. Are you ready? This is Bonnie, a Shih Tzu. She's so cute. Aren't you, Bonnie? Oh, look at her. And her brother, Ruggles. Ruggles. Oh, he's a bit heavier. Look at Ruggles. Oh, look at this face. Hello, Ruggles. What a yes, hello, Ruggles. You're so cute. Yes, you are. There we go. There we go. Let's get doggies. Okay, Bonnie wants back up. Oh. Okay. I never really knew what a Shih Tzu looked like, but this is a Shih Tzu. 100% Shih Tzu. I'm tempted to tell you all a joke. What do you get if you cross a bulldog and a Shih Tzu? A bullshit. It's a silly joke from some kids' film I watched. She's so cute. Okay, Bonnie's going to help me answer. So, did I comment on controlling? And if you controlling and splitting the mind. Yeah, so dividing self in two. There's two thoughts going on. There's life with a second, thinking that you are a separate entity that can do something, which isn't your fault. That's just a thought arising that you can control and you can do something. But in that thought arising, it gives the impression of a separate entity. Here, although thoughts still happen, and I don't want to give the impression that this is the end of thoughts, there's no second here. There's no claiming. There's just experiencing. But yesterday, I was doing some stuff on the internet. I was buying some stuff, and I made a mistake and made my credit card details a little bit vulnerable. So then lots of action happened to try and stop that situation. But that's not me controlling the situation. That's just life acting through me. There's no sense here that I am doing this. If you believe that you can control a situation, you'll then also suffer when that situation doesn't go your way. It'll be great suffering. If it does, there'll be a great high. So it's all these beliefs in these thoughts and ideas. There's this setting up happening, and it's not you setting yourself up, it's life setting up apparent separation. There's a thought and a contraction. I can control life, which is just a thought and an energy arising now. I need to do this and this to control life. And then bing, there's the apparent separate individual. It's an amazing, amazing mechanism. Yes, who's a good girl, Bonnie? Controlling actions might happen. Yesterday, controlling actions happened here by trying to control any financial damage. But it wasn't Lisa controlling, it was just life doing its dance. There was no second claiming it, and therefore, if I lost the money, if something happened, then it's not me. It's not who I am. I can't resist. Oh, Bonnie. Yes. They always want to be on TV, animals. Whenever I'm recording, they come. Okay, you ought to get down now, sweetie. Oh, there we go. There can never ever be peace in the separate self. Ever. You're always vulnerable when you believe you are a separate self that can do something. When everything is let go of, and it's not somebody who does it, when everything is let go of, there's ultimate peace, because there's no ideas or expectations or anything. There's just being, experiencing, life doing its dance. Impersonally. Nobody can hurt you when you don't have constructs of how you think life needs to be, who you think you need to be, how you believe you need to be seen, how you need to control life, how you need to make yourself happy. And there's no longer belief in these thoughts and these energetics. They're not just intellectual in the mind, they're an energetic sense, energetic contraction. There's absolute love of what is. There just is what is. You have nothing. You are nothing. It's just this, experiencing life, beingness, God. And dogs do it so well. They tinkle on the floor and you tell them off. You say, naughty, naughty doggy. And then 2 seconds later, you pick up the ball and go, ball. And they're, yes, yes. Dogs are always saying yes. They're always in what is. Fast asleep, snoring. You pick up the ball. Yes, yes, they're up, they're ready. Not living in the ideas. But I was sleeping. Who are you to wake me up? How dare you wake me up? Okay. Okay. Next question. This one's from YouTube and it's Doris. Is the now the only thing that ever is? Yes. If so, does that mean that a car accident and other accidents are pure accidents, or are they something scripted in our life plan? I'm not sure what you mean by scripted in our life plan, because that sounds like the soul stuff of that you that before you're born you write out your script in your life, and yeah, I'm not really sure exactly what those beliefs are. My teacher used to say, everything's already in the can. Everything's in the can. Meaning everything's in the film can. Everything's already happened. And everything's going to happen is going to happen. I wouldn't quite say it like that. I would say there's only ever this. And whatever happens couldn't be any other way. Life is happening perfectly and is in perfect order. It's only ever the separate self and the identity that wants life to be different, that doesn't want a car accident to happen, doesn't want bad things, only wants good things. When you step into no self, or when self step into no self, that's not even, you scrub that, when there's no longer any identification with self or self, then there is just this absolute acceptance of what is, but nobody accepting anything, just acceptance, because there's no idea that it should be different. There's just this. Just this. You're walking down the street, carrying the shopping bags, and the bag splits with all your jars in it, and all your jars smash all over the street. Or just as you get into the house, they smash on the tiles just as you're in the house. A separate self would say, oh, this shouldn't have happened. Would have an idea of how it should be. Now I've got to spend ages cleaning it up. I don't want this. Why does this always happen to me? Let's go into the victim story now. Bad things always happen to me. And there's no self, maybe there's a bit of anger. But anger is just, it's so alive when it's not filtered by stories and ideas. And then there's just the actions to clean it up. Or maybe not. Maybe leave it there. Maybe get your husband to do it. It's just what it is. There's no story attached to it. And there's such a radical sense of space, of emptiness. But it's not an identity, it's not a new intellectual identity. And I like to say that the self is based on seeking actions. So when I say this in other videos, I'm not sure if I make it clear enough to people that when I say it's the end of seeking, I'm saying it's the end of self. I'm saying it is emptiness, because the self is seeking actions. The self is made up of the dynamic of seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. And when that falls away, when that seeking energy, the self, falls away, there's just who you always are and were and is, which is love or radical beingness. Just being, without the second. And it's very simple. And it's very obvious. It's so obvious it's impossible to the mind, because the mind is seeking. And you've known it your whole life. And it's incredibly radical. It's being nobody. Your whole life you've been taught to be somebody. It's being with whatever arises. You don't have to be any role, whatever's happening. One thing that seems to is to happen here, and this is all story. The mind will cling into this, and it's all irrelevant really, but it's just trying to show you of how little there is to hold on to. It's that when I was in relationship, particularly love relationships, I found it hard being more than one role, like being the lover and also being funny. I love to laugh, and being stupid. And then also being assertive, but then also being passive. I used to find that I felt like I had to stick to one role in relationship. That the safety in relationship was being a somebody. And now anything can arise in a relationship and be funny. I could be a Wally. I can be sexy. I can be sweet. I can be anything. But it's not I can be anything. It's just anything can arise, because there's no block, there's no identity with anything. You see, as soon as I start talking about the story, it gives the impression that there's somebody here making the choices to be a somebody or not be a somebody. Because if I were to say, like many people say, how do I give up? You can't give up. There's nobody here to give up. There's just action here. The you that's wanting to give up is the suffering, is the separate self, is what's keeping you out of liberation. So it wasn't me that then allowed these roles to happen. It's just that what happened in the supposed or apparent story is Elisa no longer identified with any roles, and so therefore any role arose. I don't know how clear that is. It's like just trying to get a flavour of it. Nothing I say is true. It's just trying to get a flavour. Or just trying to give a flavour. I don't know. Because then who's trying to get a flavour and who's giving a flavour? So in a way that's irrelevant. Many people ask me, how do I let go? You can't let go. The idea of you that wants to let go is what is covering this, is what is shadowing just beingness. You already are beingness. It's just the energy and attention is on separation, on the apparent idea of separation. But you're always whole. Just doesn't appear that way to you at the moment. Or maybe it does. This is like a song. Okay, so this is from Tony on Facebook. Let me take a sip of tea. Is awareness something that can exist without objects? Because after all, awareness is an activity, capacity of something, right? I never actually say that you are awareness. Actually, maybe I do sometimes. I try to say that awareness is the bridge between no thing and everything. So as soon as you wake up in the morning, awareness comes, and then everything is seen. And then at night, the awareness goes, and you get back into nothing, and there's nothing. But these are all concepts, really. Really, it comes down to just experiencing, just being. So some teachers say, all there is existence. Some say all there is awareness. I really get the sense that this question comes from when people ask me it. Because they imagine death, they imagine dying, and they want something to carry on. They want when they die for there to be awareness. There's some sort of awareness that carries on. It's like the ego's still wanting to be something. There's not the answers to the questions. At the end of the day, you don't get the answers to the questions. Therefore, then you're happy. What happens is there is no more questions. Questions stop arising. And why we're here and what this is about is an absolute mystery. It just is. It just is. I like to refer to awareness like an angel. So awareness has one foot in nothingness and one wing in nothing and one wing in everything. So awareness is the angel between both worlds. But I get the sense that you're maybe asking this because it's actually coming from the dynamic of the being nothing, of the not wanting. It comes from the dynamic, the fear of nothing. Wanting to be something, wanting to carry on. Let me read the rest of the question. And I think I remember it goes on to mention death. And I didn't say that because I remember the rest of the question. I just remember it now. How is it possible for me to find freedom when there is such a great fear of death? It seems that the person cannot be enlightened. It's either me or enlightenment. Yes. But total not knowing seems very scary. So can I do something? Any suggestions, my dear? Who am I suggesting it to? I'm suggesting it to a separate individual that believes there's somebody that can do something. There's nobody. There's nothing. There's just experiencing. The action of doing something might come up, might not. How is it possible for me to find freedom when there is such great fear of death? The individual doesn't need to get over the fear of death. The individual needs to be chucked out. There's no one there to chuck out the individual. It's the individual that needs to go. Like I've said before in videos, Lisa died. The belief in self died. Or the identification died. Yeah, the me doesn't get enlightened. So it's either me or enlightenment. It's not the me that gets enlightened. There's nobody that gets enlightened. And screw enlightenment. It's just suffering. The separate self or the seeking dynamic stops arising. And there's just absolute wonder and absolute not knowing. I know less than you. This mouth just sits so opens and talks. Okay. So we're on to Daniel. I've got two Daniels. So this is Daniel A. Okay, so first of all, Daniel explained this a story of loss, of losing things to me. And then this is the question afterwards. I am now left with two useless things. An intellectual understanding of awareness and a futile search for it. I can still recognize that it is here, but there is so much pain and suffering to the point of despair. Do you have any suggestions? I find that the problem is my inability of sitting through pain. Immediately as it arises, there is resistance in the form of seeking. So he had an awakening experience, and then he had a lot of loss happened, and then in the loss, contraction happened. So who is the I that you think is sitting through the pain? The inability to sit through the pain you put? Who is that I that's unable to sit through it? Of course it's being sit through. Even if you're just about to jump off a bridge and kill yourself. It's being sat through just because it's appearing. You're that which everything arises in. You're not the reactions to the pain. What you want is the end of seeking, the end of suffering. But what wants that is the suffering and the seeking. It's crazy, isn't it? It's like this loop. However, recently I was talking with a friend who's also a teacher, and they were saying that, and this happened here too, there came a point where there was no longer even a care if there was suffering or peace. And nobody could do that. No separate self could do that, because how can a separate self, how can that seeking energy, which is suffering, accept the suffering? It is suffering. There was just suffering arising, and there was no identity in it. Or I don't know what it was. All this trying to work it out and trying to get out of it is the seeking suffering energy, is the separate self, is thoughts bubbling up. So who's the one that wants to get out of it? That's trying to get out of it. It's another thought, just arising, giving the appearance of a separate self. And I really understand how uncomfortable it can be. Did you notice it's always the same feeling of suffering? It just heightens, it just gets even, it's just different levels. It's the same with pleasure. So something I was contemplating or thinking the other day is all pleasure and pain are the same. They just come in different packages. They just appear, with different thoughts with them, but it's the same energetic feeling. And there's always a limit to the suffering, even though it feels at the time there's not. Contraction and the pain in the body and the feeling so heavy and the mind. There's always a limit to the high of the pleasure as well. They always pass though. You're not doing it wrong. Most people, when they write to me, it's like, what am I doing wrong? What have I not seen? It's just as it is. You're not getting it wrong. There's no one there getting it wrong. If you see this better or do this better, it's not going to liberate you. Because let me tell you, here, there is no time. There's just life happening. There's no cause and effect. That's how it's seen from here. There is no cause and effect. So in me saying that from this perspective, by you dealing with your pain better or worse, or getting it wrong, that can't happen. Life is happening spontaneously. It appears in the story that it's happening through cause and effect and time and space. But really nothing's happening. And there's never anything that somebody's done wrong. You're not separate. You're not choosing the right way or the wrong way. Whatever is happening is exactly what is meant to happen. Like my teacher would say, it's all in the can anyway. It couldn't be any other way. Couldn't be any other way. I know that's brutal to hear in suffering, because it feels like when in suffering, the relief comes when there's something to do, when you can do something that feels like some sort of relief or medicine. So when you're in that suffering, by the idea of doing something, it feels like a relief. But it's actually just the same dynamic as the suffering. It's still seeking energy. It's still separate self-doing. And you say immediately as it arises, there is resistance in the form of seeking. Of course there is. Because by the fact that you're suffering, that there is energetic suffering, mental suffering, there is seeking there. Suffering is seeking. So they're always going to go together. And you can't stay in the pain, because who is that you? It's hard when you haven't got the actual person there, because I'm not sure if I've explained it enough or said it in the right words. Oh, I think it's enough of questions. We've still got quite... Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Yeah. A lot, yes. Okay, we've only done... Oh, wow. We've only done 3 pages. Most of the questions I get is, how do I stay peace, and how do I avoid suffering? And both of them have the I in the sentence. How do I do this? And that is the suffering. The belief that you are a separate self who can do and control life. There is just life. There's just this. Just beingness. Working through this body-mind mechanism in apparent stories and thoughts and dramas and adventures. As just life. This. All seeking energy is separate self. And the separate self will always be suffering. And the separate self might have great highs of pleasure. And if it's a very successful self, might have great highs of pleasure. But it'll still always suffer. There'll still always be the agitation, the fear, the running. Pure and radical emptiness. There's nothing here. Just seeing, watching, experiencing, being. It's only the self that divides. But you are not doing the self. It's just beingness. Oneness is great creation of apparent separation. You didn't do it. You haven't done anything wrong. There is nobody there to do that. Self is just an accumulation of thoughts and energetic and sensory perceptions. Energetic contractions and sensory perceptions. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I said all that right. You get the sense of it though. The little bugs. Woof, woof. Woof. Mrs. Bunny. Come on. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie. Come on then, you're going to say goodbye. Yes, who's going to say bye-bye first? Bonnie is. Oh, Ruggles wants to come up exactly the same time. Ruggles, come on then, you have to jump yourself. Come on then, Ruggles. I can't lift you up, I've got Bonnie. I can't do a one-handed lift. She's going to kiss me. Oh, it's many breath. Okay, Ruggles, let's go now. Ruggles! Oh gosh, you weigh a ton. He has got like a teddy bear. It looks like a teddy bear. You want down now, don't you? No, you just want to sit a certain way. This is the way you want to sit. You want to lie down? Okay. Yes. He's a good boy. And you, Bonnie, you're such a good girl. Okay, I think that's everything for today. I'll try and get the rest of these questions. I promised, I wrote to people and said to them that I was going to answer their questions in this video. But I'll try and do the rest of the questions in the next couple of days. So you're going to have to watch another, the next one or two to get the answer if you didn't get it today. But as I've said many a times, it's not about getting the answer. It's about the end of the questions. Anyway, namaste. Thank you.